Good morning. This is the VirtualPBX dash admin training. This training will last approximately half an hour, 35 minutes. We do record the training, so if you can't stay for the whole time, you can come back later and watch it at your convenience. This also allows you to share the link with other people who may need to be system admins. For a lot of this, I will be referring to the show notes, specifically the support page link. That's where you'll find the detailed instructions on various features. Uh, Mostly, I'm showing you where to go to get to these features that you're going to want to enable. And with that, let's go ahead and get started here. You see my dash login page, which is at dash.virtualpbx.com. We need 3 pieces of information in order for you to get logged in. The first is your username. That's your email address. Should be in all lowercase letters. Your password, which is case sensitive. And then lastly, your account name, which is not case sensitive. And it's typically your organization name. Now, if you can't get logged in, down here, just above the sign-in bar is I forgot your info link. It flips the box around. We still need the email address, right? Your username. And then we need one of the 2 following pieces of information. So either your company name, right, the account name, or a phone number that's on the account. Click on reset password. That's going to send you an email. In the body of the email, there'll be a link that you click on that temporarily logs you in so you can change your password. Then it logs you back out. And then you would come back here to enter in that password. You have the option here to click on Remember Me and then click on Sign In. Oops. There we go. Takes a little bit to load here. But you see here now I'm on my dashboard page, which is just a quick snapshot of my system. I'm going to start up here at the top. You can click on your name, and it's going to open up a big pop-up. So this is your user account. So this is where you would change your password, for instance. Now, as a system admin over here on the left, I can click on account. I can adjust the technical contact. I can also set the time zone and language. And that's the display language for these web pages for your entire account. Also, you can, as a system admin, you can manage your add-ons. Right, these are just ways to increase or add features to your account. There'll be a fee associated with them. There'll be a pop-up to tell you what that fee is, and you have to confirm it to activate that feature, and then that will show up on your invoice. It's a per monthly fee. Obviously, if you don't want to, then you would click cancel and go back. Among the add-ons, there's the virtual text forward, there's auto attendance, advanced reporting, and dynamic caller ID. Over here on the left, you can access the billing portal. And then here's the link to get to the actual billing portal. That's where you would go to update your payment method and check your previous invoices. Then any system admin can click on cancel account here. And there'll be a button here to the far right that you can click on. And then you would follow the on-screen instructions to cancel the account. Now, that when you do it that way, the account will close at the end of the current billing cycle. Right? You won't have to do anything else. I'm going to go again, click close to remove this box, and I'm back here on the dashboard. To the right of your name, you have a D&D toggle. Right? That stands for Do Not Disturb. Click it to turn it on, like mine is enabled right now. If I clicked it again, it would be disabled. And this just means if it's on, I'm not taking calls. Right? If it's off, calls are going through. Little phone icon here. This opens a new tab, takes you to webphone.virtualpbx.net. If you have a web phone device on your user, you can log into that page using your dash login information. This allows you to use Chrome or Firefox on a computer to make and receive calls. This does count as a VoIP phone. The little chat bubble icon here opens up a new tab, takes you to virtualtext.app. This has its own login information, and this is what you would use to make use of texting or business SMS. And then over here, further to the right, little question mark icon here, that opens up a chat window at the bottom right of your browser window, so you can chat with our support team, so they can walk you through any features. Little hamburger icon, or the 3 horizontal line icon, that's the menu icon. This gets you to other dash features. We'll touch on these briefly, but most of these I'm going to refer to the show notes for that support link. Little arrow here to the right, that's to log out of your account. All right, hopping down here to the middle, total users. I have 4 users on my account. Most of our accounts, if you add users, you're increasing your bill, so please be aware of that. I've got my total devices and a breakdown of the kinds of devices. The main things to be aware of are VoIP phones, right? Depending on your plan, you might be charged per VoIP phone. Some plans include 1 VoIP phone as part of your monthly plan price, but if you add a second one, you're going to pay extra for that. Down here, I have total phone numbers. I have 12, and then breakdowns of the kinds of numbers. Your account's going to include at least 1 main local phone number. Some accounts will include more, usually a local number per user on like the Pro plan and the Ultra. Toll-free numbers, $4.99 per month. You can have international phone numbers on your account if you'd like. If you would want one, you want to email our porting team, and that's PORTING at virtualpbx.com. They need to know the city and country that you're interested in getting a phone number in. Conference bridges. I have 2. That means I've enabled the conference feature on 2 of my users so they can host or moderate a conference. Up here, back towards the top right, my main number box, I have these 3 phone numbers here. They all behave the same way. They're going to the same part of my system. They all have the same main greeting. Conference room number, that's the phone number everyone dials to join a conference. That includes your staff members. You can have multiple conference room numbers if you want. The fax box number, you can have 1 main fax box number, and this is your inbound fax number. This also allows you to edit the fax box in terms of like who gets the fax notifications, as well as who can send faxes out. Copy to directories, there's 2 links here. One's a CSV file, so just download it. You can use your favorite spreadsheet program. It has every user's details, right? So extensions, email addresses, etc. The soft phone link, that's for use for the VirtualPBX desktop soft phone application. So if you're using our soft phone app on a Mac or Windows PC, you can download this file and upload it to your soft phone on your computer. It's going to show the other staff members who have the VirtualPBX soft phone as contacts in your soft phone. You can also see their status in relation to the soft phone, right? So you can see if they're on a call or not with the soft phone or not. VirtualPBX Store, this opens up a new tab, takes you to store.virtualpbx.com, where you can order things like a VoIP phone. And the account realm, it's unique to each account. It's one of the 3 pieces of information used for a third-party soft phone. It's also part of outbound faxing. Gonna go back up here towards the top. The caller ID button up here in this blue bar, if I click on it, it opens up a box here. This pull down allows me to select one of my main numbers. That phone number becomes my default number. So like for my VoIP phones, when they make an outbound call, by default, that's going to be their main number or their outbound call ID number. Hold music, you can upload your own media files. The dash system will play .wav and .mp3 files up to 1 megabyte in size. This hold music is after a call has come into your system, reached one of your staff members' VoIP phones, right? They've picked up that call, spoke to the computer, and then they press hold on their VoIP phone. That's when this media file will play. We click upload here, find the file on your computer, up arrow, save changes. And that would become default for everybody. Now, ours is part of main number, and we don't want to get into setting up main number till we have other things already set up on the account. So to do that over here on the left, we're going to click on users. This is where you would add users to the account. Shows your current users here. People with the blue suit icon, system admins. People with the gray person icon, standard users. They have limited access. Up here at the top, you click on add user and you fill out the form. The main thing to know, the email address used for login needs to be unique for each user, so you can't reuse it for multiple people. This is how the system communicates with your staff, right? Password resets, voicemail notifications. Beyond that, pretty straightforward. Create a password. You can enter in an extension number for the user. By default, the system will automatically create a voicemail box for the user. So that way they can just log into it and from like a VoIP phone and set up their voicemail box here. Here's the option to have that person show up in the user directory. That you can change that at any time. You can also choose to have email sent to a different address. If you choose to do so, put a check mark here and enter that different email address in this box before. You can change that at any time. And here's probably a pretty good one to check is send credentials to the user. And then click on create user if you're only adding one, create user and add another if you're adding multiple. At any time, you can click on a user's name, right? So you can change their name if necessary. You can change their credentials here. Oops. All right, you can change their voicemail box PIN number if you need to. Here's the option to send emails to an alternate address. Here's the option to be in the user directory. Little person icon here. This pull down allows you to change a user into an admin or an admin to a user. Little clock icon. This allows you to adjust the time zone for the user so their voicemail timestamps are correct. The ringing time defaults to 20 seconds, plenty of time for a landline or VoIP phone. If you have someone who's only using a cell phone, you'd want to change that to 30 seconds. The extension box, you created the extension when you created the user. You can choose to add additional extension numbers to that user if you want to. Just enter the additional extension number and then save changes. Users can have their own phone numbers. If you add a phone number to a user, that phone number is available 24/7. It doesn't have hours of operation or anything like that. Okay, add from spare is using one of your spare numbers. It's just no muss or fuss. Buy numbers, this is how you would add new numbers to the account. You have the option of local toll-free. In the show notes, look at the support link and do a search for adding phone numbers. It'll give you the detailed steps here, or there, I should say. The device box, this is where you would add a device to your users. This is what we recommend, just that way it's already matched up to a person. The main thing I want to cover here is under new device, I'm going to select soft phone. Whenever you add a soft phone or web phone to the account, you're going to get this warning message. Please read it at least once. After you click close, a big box will show up here. And it's going to default to say be using a third-party soft phone. Right? You're using someone else's soft phone application. Now, if you want to use our application, the VirtualPBX soft phone, down here below where it says view configuration, there's a toggle. Right? It's grayed out. It says use third-party application. You can click on that though, and now it flips it. Now it's easier to read. It says use VirtualPBX application. Just give it a device name, right? Bob's phone, right? Click on create device, click on save changes. Once you click on save changes, the user gets an email saying their VirtualPBX soft phone is ready. In the body of the email, they're going to have their login information, right? Which will be different than their Dash login information, as well as download links. This is the only place you can add the VirtualPBX soft phone, right? There's a device tab you see on the left. If you add a soft phone there, you're not going to have that toggle available. So you can only add a third-party soft phone on that page. All right, user features. I'll cover most of these briefly, but if you want the detailed instructions, use the support link in the show notes. So caller ID number, this is for users to have their own phone number. When you enable it, that phone number on the user you can select, and that becomes their outbound caller ID from their VoIP phones, right, instead of the main number. Voicemails, we'll go into this in a little bit more depth here. Each voicemail box can hold up to 100 messages. After that, they are full, cannot accept any more. Now, by default, and this is default settings here, the system's gonna send a email to the user when a voicemail is received, and there'll be a MP3 attachment so they can listen to the messages. That doesn't delete the voicemail message from the system. Now, you could choose the other option here to delete the messages after notifications, in which case it would. Right. You can always call in to your voicemail box, right? Yeah, as long as you have the voicemail box number, which is typically your extension number, and the PIN number, you can listen to messages over the phone and delete them over the phone. You can also delete them via the user portal. Follow me, this is for users with multiple devices. So this user has 3 devices. Without Follow Me enabled, whenever a call comes in, all 3 of his devices are going to ring, no matter what. Right? If I enable this, I can then choose which devices to make use of. Now, one thing to know about Follow Me is if this user is part of a group, a call from the group to this user ignores the Follow Me settings on the user. Fax box, you could choose to have a fax box just for this person. You can choose to have a phone number for them or a new extension number. I recommend making use of a phone number. Conference bridge, this enables the conference feature for that user so they become a moderator. Call forwarding, this allows you to make use of call forwarding. Especially useful for your VoIP phone users, there's a failover mode that you can set up for them. Beyond that, your users can enable call forwarding to like their cell phones themselves, either on their VoIP phone directly or via the user portal. Customized call recording, you can choose to record calls. Basically your inbound or outbound calls. And this would, when you do this, you would go to your call recordings at recordings.virtualpbx.com and use your Dash login, or you can set up AWS integration if your plan supports it, which means you can link your Dash account to AWS. Music on hold, you can choose to have users have their own hold music. You just upload an MP3 file or .wav up to 1 megabyte. This would supersede the hold music file you uploaded onto the dashboard page. Do not disturb. When you enable this, this means that this user is not getting calls. And then hot desking VoIP phone feature. This allows you to a user to log into the VoIP phone they're sitting at, right? So it's for a shared or hybrid scheduling office environment. Basically, you can sit down at desk number 2, log into that phone, and calls will then come to you at that desk, right? End of the day, you log out of the phone. Next time you come in, you sit at desk 5, same process. All right, groups, ring groups or hunt groups, sometimes departments, right? Group of people answering calls about a similar topic. Up here at the top is where you would add a group. You need to give it a name. You need to give it an extension number. And then you would click and drag your staff members into the group over here on the right-hand side, and then click on Create Group. Once a group is created, you can click on the name. Whoops. Right. You can always change the name whenever you need to. Grouped call attempts is how many times the system will offer an inbound call to the members of the groups. There's little arrows here to the far right where you can increase or decrease that amount. Here's your option to delete. If you made any changes, click on Save Changes. Group members, this shows you who you've assigned to the group and how you're offering calls to them. This is an example of blast ringing or ring all, right? Essentially, whoever picks up the call first gets it. I can click distribute up here. So now it always rings in this order. So even if Dante is on a call, right? So first call of the morning came into him, he picked it up, he's helping the person. Second call calls in, it's still offered to him initially, right? For that first 40 seconds. And then it rolls over to David. Right? If a third call calls in, that third person is waiting 80 seconds before it's offered to Jeanette. Now, as an admin, these are sliders, so I could always adjust these so that the second and third person aren't waiting as long. Right. Down here, I can add additional users. This box up here at the top, this is the total ring time in the group. It defaults to 120 seconds, and you can change that how you see fit. And then you can always click unassign. Also, you can click and drag users to change the order and then click distribute again. Right, so now Jeanette's first. Now I would still need to adjust these sliders to minimize that hold time for later users. If you're on the Ultra plan and groups aren't working for you, you also have the option to make use of the ACD queues. In the show notes, look at the ACD QUEUES Pro demo, and that will show you the difference. Basically, queues are an advanced version of groups. There's different routing options, like who most idle, who's been waiting the longest, gets the next call. Your staff members can log themselves in and out of the queue and mark themselves available or unavailable, like when they go to lunch. And more importantly, if a staff member is already on a call from the queue and another call comes in, it doesn't offer it to that person. It immediately just searches for the next available person. Extension box. All right, groups have that extension. You can choose to add additional extension numbers if you need to, and then click on Save Changes. Groups can have their own phone numbers, just like users, and just like users, this phone number does not have hours of operation, right? It's available 24/7. You have group features. Ring back. So when a call comes into the group, your staff member's phone starts to ring. That ringing sound spikes back to your inbound caller. Instead, you can choose to enable this feature and then upload a .wav or .mp3 file, which will then play back instead of that ringing sound. The main thing to know is that the system's not going to loop this file for you. So you want to make sure that the duration of this file matches or exceeds the total ring time of the group. Next action, click up here to enable, and in this pull down, you select what the system should do if no one answers the call, right? So say you have 2 group call attempts, rings through twice, none of your staff's able to answer, where do you want to send the call? Another group, another user, voicemail box are the most common. You can also even send it back to your main menu, which we're about to get to. Allow call forward if you enable. That means your users can make use of call forwarding from calls from the group. Caller ID prepend. This is a VoIP phone feature. This allows you to have additional text or numbers show up on your staff members' VoIP phones in front of the caller ID of the person who's calling in, right? So customer Mary is calling in on Bob's VoIP phone. He would see, right, the support word show up and then customer Mary's phone number. All right, so with users and groups, let's go over here to main number. Main company numbers, you can have multiple, add from spare or buy new, or you can unassign if you no longer need them. Office hours, choose 24 hours or custom. If you choose custom for each day of the week you're open, put a check mark for each of those days. Set your open hours in 24-hour or military time. You also have the option to be closed for lunch every day at the same time. Office holidays, if you're closed for holidays, just put a check mark here. Over here to the right, you click on add holiday. You have single day, date range, or advance. Each one creates a new row. Right. So Christmas Day is like I have for single day, right? Give it a name, month, date, save changes. Holiday, give it a name, start date, end date, save changes. Advanced is Memorial Day. I give it a name. I choose May. In the second pull down, you have first through fifth as well as last, and then the day of the week. Save changes. If you need to remove one, click on the little trash icon and then save changes. Incoming call handling. So this is how your system is handling calls on those main numbers during my open hours, my after hours, and my holidays. This first option here is the virtual receptionist, which is a link, opens up a big box. Your menu options, these are what people press on their phones to navigate through your system. You click on add route to give yourself more options. The first pull down, 0 through 9, and the star key, as well as the default action. The second pull down are things on your system, users, groups, voicemail boxes, etc. Greetings, you have your various greeting options here. Text to speech, you just type it in, system will read it off. It's a computerized or robotic voice. You can upload your own file, .wave.mp3. Choose from something that's already on the system. Just use the pull down, find the file. Record it over the phone. The system by default wants you to use a VoIP phone. If you don't want to use a VoIP phone, down under settings, right down here, where it says allow outside recording, turn this on. It's a security feature, so that way random people can't change your voicemail or your main greeting. This PIN number is specific to this time of day, right? So it only works during my open hours. You also have the option to order a professionally recorded greeting. Just click on order. This opens a new tab and takes you to Snap Recordings, which is a separate company. They'll deliver the email, they'll email you the file, and then you would just upload the file. Number of retries on misdial, how many times your inbound caller can make a mistake. In this case, they can make one mistake, so they get 2 total attempts. Dialing timeout is how much time the system listens for additional button presses, i.e. when people try to enter extension numbers. Allow dialing extensions, by default this is on. That means when someone enters a valid extension number, the system will transfer the call. If you turn it off, they can only use the menu options. And then suppress playing of invalid entry. If they make too many mistakes, the system will say we did not recognize your entry, and then either transfer the call if there's a default action, or hang up and say goodbye if there's no default. Any changes you make to your main menu, your greetings, or your settings, you want to click save here and save changes over here. In the support page, you'd want to do a search for incoming call handling. That will cover all of this, by the way. During my after hours, I'm making use of the second option, which is the live operator answer option. This first pull down, you select something on your system, users or groups typically. Could be a device, could be a queue. Virtual receptionist, basically no one I selected in that first pull down is able to answer. Then the caller ends up here, right? It's my after hours, so they have a different greeting, they have different menu options. But beyond that, it's the same as we just looked at. During the holidays, I have this third option where I'm saying, don't ring to anything. Now this first pull down, I can select users, groups, etc. But I chose, hey, don't ring anybody, and instead go to the voicemail box I selected. And you can choose any voicemail box on the account. Main conference number, you can have multiple conference room numbers if you want. Add from spare by new. You also have a custom greeting where you can type in a text-to-speech greeting. Main fax box number, you can only have the one, but once you do, you can edit the fax box here. Inbound notification, designed to put in an email address. This person would get an email every time a fax comes into the system. One thing to be aware of is someone dials your fax box number, say from their cell phone, this person would get an email saying there was a failed fax attempt. Email permissions, designed to put either a single email address or your company's email domain. In this case, use the company email domain. So every employee at VirtualPBX can send a fax out on this account, even if they're not a user on the account. And to do so, they would create an email like they normally do from their virtualpbx.com email. They put +1 area coded number, and then the @ symbol, and then the account realm. Then they would attach a PDF or TIFF file and click send. The system is not going to send anything that you type in the subject line of the email, nor in the body of the email. It's only one attachment per email, only one recipient per email. Right. Auto attendance, an add-on feature. This allows you to create secondary attendance where you click create a name, give it an extension number, click on create attendant. This would be if you're making use of submenuing, like one for English, two for Spanish, or you have separate businesses and you want them on the same account. So when you add an attendant, it defaults to being unavailable in main menu, meaning it's standalone, right? i.e. separate business. Oops. You can click on this toggle to make it available in main menu. So then it would be a submenu option. It would even be a next action option for a group. Phone number box. Attendants can have their own phone numbers, right? Because if they're separate businesses, they would probably have their own numbers. Extensions, you can have multiple extensions for an attendant, but honestly, you probably don't need to do that. It's only going to be maybe used by your staff to transfer a call to the right attendant. Little wrench icon here under settings. You have open hours, after hours, and holidays, matches what we set up under the main number. In all cases, though, they're going to the virtual receptionist, so you would set up menu options of greetings, etc. Right, save and save changes. The device tab shows your devices on the account. Green means it's registered, so we can send calls to it like we can here. Red means it's unregistered, so we can't. Now, that could be, like if it's a soft phone or web phone, they're not logged in, right? Could also be a network issue. We don't know. You can add devices here if you want to, but you're not assigning them anywhere, which is why we suggest doing it on the user. And again, if you choose soft phone on this page, oops, wrong one. Right, even though you get that warning message, you don't get that toggle to make it a VirtualPBX soft phone. Also, under the wrench icon here, under advanced emergency caller ID, you can choose to have a VoIP phone have its own separate phone number for use for E911. And on that phone number, you would have that user's address, right? So for people who work remotely. Greetings tab shows all your media files on the account. Got the name of the file. The source, TTS, means text to speech. Upload means you uploaded the file. Recording means it was recorded over the phone. The little play button column here, that allows you to listen to the recording or the greeting directly in your browser. You can also download the greeting, right? If for some reason it's not playing in your browser, you can download it, play it on your local media file or media player. Also, I recommend this for your main greeting that you use for most of the year, so you have a backup copy. Little wrench icon here. You can click on that, and you can change the name, so it's a file name that you can recognize, or you have the option to delete. Numbers takes you to your numbers in use, so you see where they're assigned. You have the gear icon here, so you can update the E911 caller ID, etc. Spare numbers, these are numbers you're not using. And if you put a check mark in front of it, then you have the option here to delete. You would just click on that. And then there's an option to confirm the deletion, and then it's removed. By numbers, you would just add new spare numbers here. Port starts the port process. For that, definitely use the support pages and just do a search for porting a number. That's just moving a phone number from another carrier to us, right? So from AT&T to VirtualPBX. Voicemail boxes shows your voicemail boxes on the account. Any voicemail box that has an entry in that third column, that means it was a user voicemail box, right? Created with the user. You can create your own voicemail boxes up here at the top. Give it a name, voicemail box number, and PIN number. Click on create voicemail box. One thing to know, voicemail box numbers are not the same as extension numbers, right? So if someone dials 3333 from my virtual receptionist, they're not getting to this voicemail box. Now, if I set up a menu option and have this as a destination, then they would get there. Voicemail box number and PIN number, that's what you use to check messages over the phone, as well as adjust the greeting if necessary. Under advanced, you've got greeting media, so you can upload files directly here, right? .wav, .mp3. If you have something selected both in media and temporary, only the temporary plays. The media file will not play again until temporary is set back to none. Recipients, any voicemail box, even if it was a user-created voicemail box, you can come here and add additional recipients. Now, your user voicemail boxes have a built-in recipient, right? The email address used for login. But you can always add more. Keep clicking add until you're done, and then save changes. And then you have the options here. Once you have the media file in place and a greeting in place, just click on already set up, because then you don't likely need to change that voicemail greeting. And then you can verify that you have the attached emails here. And then you can also choose to delete after notification if you don't want that voicemail box to be at full. Virtual text forward, this is an add-on. This allows you to have phone numbers accept inbound text messages and then forward them on, right? It's not for two-way communication. Click add number at your top, and you would select a spare number on your account, and then choose either an email address that you're sending it to or a webhook, and then create web forward. Virtual extensions are a plan-specific feature. This allows you to add additional extension numbers without adding users. Now, these are limited, right? They're not users, so they can't be part of a group or queue. And because there's not an email address associated with them, you can't use a VirtualPBX soft phone with these people. However, or I should also say, in addition, they can only have one device. Call logs, this shows your call history on the account. You have today, this week, this month, and custom. Custom will let you go back up to 1 year. And then click filter. All of these options you can download as a CSV file. So if you're good with spreadsheets, you'll get some more additional information out of this. The system lets you go back 12 months. If you need to go further than that, you need to reach out to our support team. They'll have to escalate the issue, but our engineers can only go back up to 18 months. Feature codes. These are ways for your VoIP phone users to access Dash features directly from their VoIP phones. They're obviously here. You can go on the support page to search for either feature codes or the phone commands cheat sheet. The cheat sheet has the context help on it as well, so it's a little bit easier for some people. All right, menu icon. Next up, blacklist. This allows you to create a list of phone numbers that you're blocking from reaching your staff members. Please use the support page link in the show notes to learn specifically how to do that. Call recording. This will take you to one of two places. This account is set up with AWS, so it's showing me my AWS interface for the current time frame. Otherwise, it opens up a new tab, takes you to recordings.virtualpbx.com. Use your Dash login to see your call recordings there. Number manager takes you to your spare number page. User portal. Every user has access to their own user portal. It starts you off in your voicemail tab, right? So you can play it back, download it. Little box here at the very front, that allows you to change the status. You've got your call history here, your fax history, you have your own fax box, conference tab, contact list, which is basically everything on the Dash account. Conference tab, only used for users that have the conference feature enabled, and that's where they would update their PIN numbers. Moderator and participant PIN numbers should be different. User settings, right here is where your staff members can enable call forwarding themselves. Just put a box, +1 area code and number, and save. And now I am call forwarding. Right? I uncheck it, and now I'm not call forwarding. Webhooks, plan-specific feature. This allows you to link other Dash to other software. So some level of programming. In the show notes, you will want to look at the Introduction to Zapier webinar, and you can also go to developer.virtualpbx.com to see sample code. SMS registration, this is what you need to go through if you want to make use of the business SMS feature. You're going to want to read this page. Here's where you would start the registration process. and then the status would tell you where you are in that process. Call center, this opens up a new tab, takes you to callcenter.virtualpbx.com. Use your dash login to get in. And in the show notes, make use of the ACD QUEUES promo to see what those are about. Dynamic caller ID, again, this is an add-on. This allows you to create rules to change the outbound caller ID for your VoIP phone users. Typically, again, show notes, look up dynamic caller ID, but basically you can set up a rule. For instance, whenever my staff members dial a 702 area code phone number, the system will change their outbound caller ID to a 702 number that's on my system. Faxes, this is your fax manager, so you can see your fax history. Right, you have your inbound fax tab here. You got your outbound fax. You can see any history here. Email to fax logs if there's any problems. Reports, this is the advanced reporting feature or add-on. Opens up a new tab, takes you to reports.virtualpbx.com, has its own login information. In the show notes, you're going to want to look at the advanced reporting demo to see if that makes sense for you. Voicemails tab just lets you get to any voicemail box on the account. So if you get a report that one is full, you can come here and see how many there are and change the status. You can also move it to a different voicemail box as an admin. Integration AWS, it's on some plans, not others. This is what you would use to link your Dash account to in this case, AWS. If you click on the little gear icon here, you'll see here that we need the access ID, secret access ID, and the bucket on AWS, and then you would click on Save Changes. All right, that's everything. I ran a little long, so I do apologize for that. But we will be back again next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Thank you for your time today.